Engaging with your pain solves all of your problems. I want to sort of ease into this with a story about myself, actually. Um, Sort of an example that'll kind of set the frame here for why pain will solve all of your problems. You processing your pain, you engaging with your pain. Um, when I was 19, um, I had I was in college, in community college, and I had just basically flunked out of my first semester at real college and never went to class, right? Went down there for football, quit, and then never went to class for an entire semester. Pretty much just drank the entire semester. Um, and so I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to play football. It was like some Division 3, like private college in the middle of nowhere, and I was just like, yeah, no, this is awful. Um, so I moved back up to where I was from, and I was living with somebody that I knew, and one afternoon I was just sitting there on my bed reading some textbook for community college, and it was just a nice day outside. It was summer, and it was just a nice, beautiful day outside, sunny. I was just reading this textbook, just chilling, and then out of nowhere, I just felt like the world was coming to an end. Right? It was a panic attack on a scale. It's insane, right? If you ever had a panic attack, then you probably know what I'm talking about. But it's just like an impending doom, right? You just feel like the world's ending, everything's the best way that I can describe it is the one place in the world that you don't want to be at that, and when it's happening, is inside your own body. It's like you literally want to escape your own body, because inside your own body you're dying, basically. And literally nothing was happening, right? There's nothing going on. There was nothing wrong, nothing to be anxious about. It was a nice day outside, right? Just hits me out of nowhere. And for the next like week, I had I would I would be panicking all throughout the day and trying to sort of keep it together by distracting myself by going on long runs, exercise runs to like burn off the energy. It helped a little bit. It's kind of just made me tired. And then I would panic in my dreams. Like I would panic in my sleep for multiple days. I would panic in my sleep, and it took, I think it was about 3 days until I stopped actually panicking in my sleep, where I could get some respite from my day of panicking by sleeping. So I would love to sleep. I would just love it when I could sleep, because I knew it would be over for a little bit. Um, Now, most people, when they would encounter something like this, especially in today's world, the easiest thing is just to go to your doctor and like, oh, just give me a pill. Like, oh, I had a panic attack. Oh, I have anxiety. Give me a pill. You know, and you would get it immediately. You would get it immediately, and all sorts of pills, right? You could do a pill concoction, a stack, right, for anxiety. And most people, I say, would do this, right? This is sort of what most people do, and I did not do that, right? I did not do it. I just dealt with it. I didn't even know, I didn't want to be a person who relied on pills. I didn't want to be that person, even at 19, even when I was young. I knew that wasn't the answer. That I wanted to be. Um, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going insane, right? I thought I was just going to be in a mental institution. I thought my mind had broke. Right? That's the best way I can describe it. I just thought my mind broke, because I was like, well, if I can't even sleep, there's clearly something wrong with me. I'll probably just end up insane. Um, but luckily, after like a week or two, it started to subside, and I started to get some semblance of control over this thing, right? Right? Just to kind of keep me functioning. I knew kind of how to distract myself. I kind of knew intuitively what to do in my body to sort of when the sort of surges of panics would come up, I knew what to do, right? And I struggled with this. It kind of went away for a few years, right? In my 20s, it kind of went away. Um, I would have little things, but nothing crazy. And then when I was about 27, 26 or 27, um, I had another one, and this one actually made me want to. I was about to go to the kitchen to get a knife to kill myself, because I just couldn't stand it. I thought I had figured out something, because it was stimulated by a thought. This one was stimulated by a thought loop. So I was thinking about something, and it was like existential, right? It was something about, it was something deep existential, and I was thinking about it, and I sort of realized something, and it was like sort of control based. It was kind of on that theme, and I realized something, and then it just exploded in me, and I was just like, oh my God, like I figured out something that human beings aren't supposed to figure out. I need to, I probably just need to end my life. Crazy stuff. I don't even know. I don't even know how to really explain it for people who've never had a panic attack. But panic attacks can come on because of thoughts. They can come on because of emotions, just sort of the emotional body. They can just kind of come out of nowhere, like when I was laying on my bed, reading that textbook. But that one, somehow I stayed alive, stuck through it, and did not take a pill either. And I never took pills, never got on pills. I never wanted to be that person. And um, this is basically a segue into just, it would have been easy for me, very easy, right? The easy thing to do would have been to take a pill. Just hop up on pills, go to the doctor, get some pills. Good, right? That would have been the easy thing to do. But it wouldn't have addressed why I have panic attacks, right? It wouldn't have addressed the fundamental reason why they were arising. And it wouldn't give me the opportunity to process it and to actually work through how to deal with them, right? For the future. How would I deal with a panic attack, right? And instead, I dealt with it myself, and I came across different sorts of information, because I was searching for some sort of fix, and I found the sort of the best thing that could have happened to me. It literally changed my life. It changed my life completely. To this day, I owe my panic attacks my life, because it changed my entire life for the better. It gave me a sort of an outlook. It changed my path, towards a certain way, and gave me a sort of a power that I didn't know that I had, and it sent me down a path that yeah, um, in a spiritual sense, right? Spiritual sense, for sure. That definitely opened my spiritual journey for sure. And but that is sort of, it's illustrative in sort of demonstrating why it's better to just deal with your pain. You have to engage with your pain, your difficult stuff, right? Because, and I'll get into how it solves your problems, all of your problems, but it's there for a reason, right? Your pain is there for a reason. It's not a problem. People often think that their pain is a problem. No, your pain is information, right? Your pain is not only, it's the information usually, I mean, when you think of like, there's noise and there's signal, it's signal, right? It is distilled information that's key. It's there for a reason. It's trying to let you know something. It's trying to signal something to you. Ah, I need to look at this. Ah, I need to deal with this. Ah, there's something very wrong with me. Or, ideally you don't want to label it wrong, especially when you're dealing with like panic attacks and depression. You want to stay away from labels, but you want to know, you want to at least recognize that there is a dysfunction within your body. There's something to correct, right? There's something that's happening um, that you're not equipped to deal with. You're not equipped to deal with what is arising within you, right? And that is just key, man. Like, the main thing that I've kind of taken away from my um, sort of my 32 years on this earth so far is that you really do want to do it the hard way, right? If you do it the hard way, you're going to have lasting change. You're going to actually fix, you're going to cure what's wrong, right? You're going to address, fundamentally to the core what's wrong. And when you change things on that level, when you're fundamentally going to the deepest level and you're changing things down there, not only does it bring you depth, right? You have a depth to you. So you have a deeper knowledge, a deeper wisdom and discernment about things, right? You have a strength about things. It definitely makes you stronger as an individual, absolutely. Um, and it gives you the the conviction that this is how you will deal with things in the future. Like, this is the best way to deal with it in the future. Your problems and the pain and the difficult emotions, difficult whatever that you're dealing with in your life, whether it be circumstances like external circumstances, or if it's internal, right? If it's, you struggle with loneliness or insecurity or fear or, anger or sadness or, whatever, regrets, guilt, shame, whatever things that you're feeling, it's best to just sit with them. You need to sit with them. You need to just let them sort of consume you. Don't run from them. And I've said it, on many, many videos before that, oftentimes we distract ourselves with substances. There are easy sort of substances, ways to feel good, to temporarily feel good. What those things do is they disrupt how you're actually feeling just alone by yourself when nothing's happening. But when you're alone and by yourself when nothing's happening, that's the most. There's a quote that says, um, "It's only in calm waters when one's reflection is mirrored undistorted." Right? And I thought that was a great quote because that really is true. I mean, when nothing is going on, when there's no distractions, when you're not hopped up on a pill or a substance, or you smoke something, or you drank something, or you're at a party and it's super loud and you're talking to people, you're getting different energy and distractions from people, or you're scrolling on the internet and you're just distracting yourself, focusing on different things. You're never actually looking inward, right? You're never actually addressing what's going on within yourself. And it's only when you are at when you're still, when you're by yourself, when you're just chilling, right? I don't, there's this whole thing about meditation, and I went through a phase of like meditation, especially after my last that bad panic attack, right? Because I sort of found a spiritual path, but meditation is good, but it's not necessary. I don't even think it's really necessary. I don't think you really need to meditate. Like there's the whole like, oh, I'm gonna sit down, I'm just gonna, you know. I don't really think it's that. I think it's good enough that you just, most people can't just even sit still in a room by themselves and not do anything. You know what I mean? Like you don't even forget meditation. I mean, if you can't even sit still in a room, just, looking out the window or looking at the ground, and you start to feel what's going to happen is you start to feel antsy, right? You start to feel like either you start to feel bored, but then you start to feel like you need to do something. You're restless, right? There's an unease, there's a sort of anxiety, there's sort of a, or maybe there's a like a deep sort of um, pit of like unhappiness, right? You feel like there's a lack of dopamine, like you're just, there's a lack of stimulation, there's a lack of something, so you don't feel as good, right? You don't feel as that you have as much well-being. And oftentimes the longer you sit there, the worse that it gets, right? And I think this is really just like the key of how engaging with your pain solves your problems. Because problems, there's quick fixes, right? There's like band-aids that people can use, right? You can run from your problems, and you can take a substance to numb yourself from your problems, and you can temporarily feel good and do all these things to, you know, escape your problems, right? And for all intents and purposes, yeah, maybe you can get through life and you never really have to deal with your problems. But unfortunately, um, your what's going to happen is your problems are only going to grow inside of you. The chaos, the dysfunction, the, sort of the poisonous nature of what's going on inside of you is only going to grow, and then it is, you can't help it. It expresses itself through you, right? It expresses itself through your behavior, through your thinking, through your emotions, through just everything about you, right? And I've often said that chaotic people inside create chaotic lives. So if you have a life that's like unsatisfying, or, it's chaotic in some way, or it's inefficient, or it's like super stressful, it's not your life. It's you, right? You are the source of your external world, right? You create your external world. So if you are not good inside, well, then it's going to manifest itself. It's going to be represented and reflected to you in your external world, right? And this isn't to, a lot of people think like, well, I just have to, what? I just have to be a monk? Like, I just have to, like, just give up all worldly pleasures and just start being alone, and, just give up this and give up that and give up this and just, swear off all sorts of pleasures and just be with myself all the time? No, that's impossible. That's unreasonable. But, slowly but surely, right? Start small. That's what I would advise. Just start with one thing. Like if you're, if you drink a lot of alcohol and you smoke weed and you look at porn and you jerk off and you know, you scroll a lot, and, you can't sit still, and all right, take out one, like do one at a time, and then try to be alone for like 5 minutes a day. Just try to sit still. Don't do anything for 5 minutes a day. Start small and then kind of build on that, you know? Um, but this is something that, it's something that you can't, really be, yeah, you just can't be taught this stuff. These are things that you just kind of have to figure out for yourself, through your own journey. Everybody's journey is going to look different here, but you know, the main reason why, engaging with your pain is going to solve all of your problems is, I really do think that engaging with your pain is soberly, authentically, in a real way, right? You not being afraid of being alone, right? If you're good being alone with yourself, then you start to work through things that most people don't work through, which is going to make you an extremely powerful person out in the real world. You are dealing with things head on, right? You're engaging, you're processing, you're letting the signals transform you. And really, there's not much effort in this. A lot of it is just, you just have to show up and do the right things, right? There's not some sort, you don't have to like focus and like, oh, I gotta think about how am I processing this? How am I, oh yeah, it was wrong that I did that back then. And yeah, I need to like affirm and apologize and like do all this stuff. I don't really think you necessarily need to do that. If you do need to do something, it will organically come. You know what I mean? These things organically happen. You will organically heal. You'll know what to do. You'll know what you need to do, right? You'll know how you feel, what you need to do. It'll just be kind of automatic, right? It'll happen naturally, organically, if you are doing the right things, right? If you are off all the substances, off all the smoking anything, you're no longer partaking in sensual pleasures, masturbation, excessive sex. If you have a partner, I know that's difficult, but not looking at porn, all that stuff. And if you are genuinely, trying to engage with your pain, trying to interact with it, you are going to work through and really understand, right? You get benefit, like you get benefits, right? Like your points go up, your stat points go up for like a video game character. Your stat points only go up when you actually deal with it head on, when you engage with it head on, and it's difficult. Because then you're real. You're built tough, right? You're built tough inside. Nothing can change that. Once you're changed inside, once you're set inside, nothing can change that. That's permanent. I'm pretty sure it's permanent. Like I just came up with that just now, but I'm pretty sure it's permanent. Like that's crazy. That's crazy that once you change something inside fundamentally to the core, right? When you've actually worked through things and processed them, and you know how to deal with them, and why, you understand why you were struggling with them and how you get through them and how to deal with them in the future, right? You can now help other people that are struggling. That's set, right? That's permanent. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take that from you. And that withstands pressure. I often say, like, if you want to see who's real, just up the entropy, up the chaos, up the pressure, up the heat in any situation. And that'll tell you who's actually real, like who's actually done the work, right? Because they will be able to withstand the pressure. They will be able to withstand the chaos because they know how to deal with it. They just know, they're built that way, right? They've done the real work. People who fake things, right? People can fake things till the cows come home. They can write books. I mean, it's everybody, right? It's people that write books, it's politicians, it's, actors, it's famous people, of, all celebrities. It's, people that have huge followings on social medias. It's people that are huge public figures. It's people that are, huge YouTubers. Like, nobody is exempt, right, from being exposed for their fakeness. If you got them in a real situation, right? If you actually got them in a real situation to where whatever they're talking about, whatever they sort of claim to be some sort of expert on, right? That they know, like, oh yeah, I'm just, come to me for all the advice, all this stuff. Okay. You would always, like, it's difficult to know. It's difficult to know. Sometimes the words have power. Like, you'll know by, some of us have a keen understanding of like who's real and who's not, right? Who's fake and who's not, because you have a depth to you. You have a depth to you. You understand authenticity. You understand that. You understand when you hear, when you hear words that have power behind them. You know when you hear words that are coming from a place where it's that person's experienced it. That person's had personal deep experience with it and they've worked through it. The words are different, right? The words sound different, they're of a different quality, they just have a different energy behind them, right? um, Versus people that may have large followings, may espouse to know certain things, claim to know certain things, but you know the mainstream will be fooled by that. But those with the keen eye for realness would probably be able to tell just by hearing them that whether they're full of it or not, right? But that's also difficult to know. It's not always easy to know. The most sure way to know is you put somebody in a situation, right? You put them in a real life situation and you just up the entropy, up the chaos, right? Put them in a real situation and see how they act, see how they behave, see how they respond, right? Those who are real, they can't help it. They can't help but respond in the right way. They can't help but be just absolutely impressive in their response. You'd be like, wow, just wow, you know. They know what they're doing. They walk their talk. You know what I mean? And then other people, they would just crumble. They would just crumble immediately, and you'd be like, okay, like you're a fraud. Um, it's not to say that all people that have large followings are not, you know, that they're frauds or anything. I'm not saying that, but you know, um, this is sort of the way that you test it. But this is really how you solve all your problems. Any problem that you solve, anything that you really need to work through, it's not a question of you just need a, I've said this before about masculinity, but it kind of applies the same. It's not a question of like you need to read the right information. You just need to read the right books and digest the right podcasts and stuff like that. Like once you have the right information, then you'll know. I've often said that the gap between knowing and being is huge, right? Huge, that gap. And that's everything, right? You can know something, but if you can't be it, if you can't actually, you know, express it through yourself, if you can't actually put it into practice in the real world, then what is it worth? It's worth nothing, right? If you read all these books about how to deal with women and, you know, all, you've read more books and consumed more information than any man alive on how to deal with women, right? If you've never actually dealt with a woman in real life, if you've never actually done it, right? And you're not practicing semen retention, right? If you're just giving away your masculine energy all the time, you go out into the real world and you dealing with a woman is going to be cringe, right? I, I would bet that it would just go really poorly because you would just be like so stuck in your mind, right? You would know all these things, but how to be it, how to express what you know, that's a different ballgame, right? Express it authentically, organically, naturally. That's a different ballgame. That's different. That's a different level of knowing. That's a different level of understanding, So, yeah, this really is, you got to do it the hard way. There really is no other way. You got to do it the hard way. You got to engage with your pain. And that will create an abundance of, energy, real energy within you that can now work very wisely through you, very smartly, intelligently through you, right? All that energy can now really start to do great things for you in your life. And it's, again, this isn't something that you would have to do. Like, you don't control how the energy expresses itself through you. You don't control that. That will just happen. You'll feel like it's you. right? You'll feel like you're controlling it, but it's really not at the end of the day. If you sort of, you know, if you've come from a life where you really, you know, you'll know the difference between what you used to be like and what you are like now as you start to work through things. You'll understand that now certain things are just happening by themselves, you know. Um, and it's awesome. It's awesome because it's kind of like you do the hard work and then everything else takes care of itself. Like all I have to do is just be strict, disciplined, virtuous, focus on dealing with my pain and my struggles and take on life head on. And life will sort of make me what it needs me to be, you know, and it will be phenomenal. It'll be light years ahead of all the other people around you. You will stand out amongst the crowd, because all of them are not letting life change them. They're not letting life evolve them. They're not letting life just work through them, work on them, mold them. Life is trying to mold you. It's trying to, you are clay that life is trying to mold, or God is trying to mold. You're trying to be molded. Let yourself get molded, right? You just need to sit back and let it, right? And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's the hardest thing for a human being to do. But those that can do it, you reap the rewards. So, yeah, I think that video is long enough. So I think I've said all I need to say. Engage with your pain. It'll solve all your problems. Maybe not all, but I don't know, maybe. That's it. That's the video.